Yo! What's up, We're in the Blind Forest fans out there? How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day so far, enjoying the races. We've got another great one for you coming up from the Spider Coves group between Grifs99 and Kirefel. I am joined today by Mad Insane. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to this race.
Yeah, likewise, man. There's a lot of interesting things going on in this race. These are the second and third seeded runners of this group, and their PBs are not too far apart. Do you want to give us a little bit of background on Kirefel?
So Carafel's been around since late 2016, so been around for quite a while, though hasn't necessarily been running all of that time, but has been in the community for quite a long time. The PB of Kirefel is 38, so quite a few minutes behind Grifs, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be necessarily a free win for Grifs. Kirefel is seemingly planning on doing a bit of a different route. Have said that they're planning on doing Frog Juggle rather than Terror Break compared to Grifs. So.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually didn't know that. But so we'll see a little bit of route divergence as they go through Sorrow a little bit later. That means also the XP routing will be a little bit different. And Kirefel's opponent, Grifs, has been around for a little over a year now, and just got a recent PB since the start of the tourney with a 33:30. It's an improvement of a minute and a half about, and is going full keyboard and mouse. And Ori is indeed his first speed game, and on top of that, has delved into a bunch of different categories, including any percent not out of bounds, no TA, some all cells stuff. So definitely has a good understanding of the game, even though has, joined a little bit later than Kirefel. And I believe we are going to be getting in here pretty soon. So any predictions or thoughts going into this match?
I think I'm favoured towards Grifs for this match, but it would be great to see an upset, as always.
Yeah, I'd give a little bit of advantage to Grifs, although I don't know what Kirefel's been doing behind the scenes as far as practice, so we'll have to see once we get into the match, because Kirefel's been kind of off the map for a long time. Just kind of recently got back into it, and it looks like we're going to be getting into it right now here. As we see some nice, I believe that's Russian on Griff's screen. So we, early on in the game, as you may have heard in some of the other races, we only have running and jumping so far. We're going to be going towards our first skill, which is Spirit Flame, aka Sign. And Sign is going to be our companion for the run and is going to allow us to attack items and use some other abilities later on. Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the XP routing that will be happening a little bit after they're done getting Sign?
Yeah, so the runners will be picking up very, very specific amounts of XP in order to get a level up, to destroy a wall of brambles, to save having to break the wall later on. And also it helps because then they have an ability point that they can use to skip a cutscene a bit later on. So you'll see them missing certain bits of XP and picking up only very specific ones.
Yeah, and the great thing about the XP routing in this game is everyone does it a little differently. You'll see a little bit of differences because people will go for like early charge dash. People will want level ups in different locations, and especially here, since they're trying to level it up around 25 XP. There's a lot of combinations of enemies you can use to get to that 25 XP.
Yeah, and you'll see the runners deliberately taking some damage around here to lower themselves to 1 health. ideally, so they can quickly die in the water to do a trick called Ghosto.
Oh man, Grifs was really dicey right there for a second. Actually, accidentally ran into the last bramble of that wall right there, so that took 2 damage. It's down to 1, and barely avoided those. Barely avoided that spike from the slime. But both look like they're going to get a 1. It's a 2 HP Ghost Door from Kirefel, but the fish was in a good spot, which resets the damage taking from the water and makes it a little quicker.
Both runners are going for an extra health cell. It's not 100% necessary to get this health cell, but it certainly helps, especially in areas like Misty. Stops you from dying from 1 hit to spikes. And it costs a very small amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe the only people who skip over that in the early game are, the top like 5 to 10 runners. So it's really a great thing for safety, especially here where a lot of stuff does 1 and multiples of 2 damage. It allows you to take 2 hits off stuff instead of maybe 1 extra one.
So it looks like both runners are going for the level up on the way down to wall jump. So timing their level up to cause the explosion to break the bramble wall.
Yeah, and one minor thing you may have seen in some other races, a couple of the runners, when they level up on the way down, if they move a little too far to the left early before the explosion finishes, a couple of the brambles will remain, and they have to take a little bit of time and break them. It's not a major time loss, but it's just more of an annoyance.
Both runners are very, very close to each other. Any mistakes at this point could change the lead.
Yeah, especially before they have dash, which will be coming up here in a few minutes. Any sort of deaths at this point has major implications depending on where you die. You could lose anything up to about 15 seconds to up to a minute. Also, I want to thank Grifs for providing his soul to me. Having a little bit of problems with the that log that's named after me. Ooh, and then Grifs takes a death off of that slime as he's trying to kill it. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's a very costly death right there. Loses him close to like 45 seconds.
But that will let Kirefel take a significant lead. But the lead could still change at any point. You see on Kirefel's screen doing a trick called Save Anywhere in order to carry the ability menu and save while walking into a cutscene, allowing you to skip it.
Yeah, and these cutscenes that you skip vary anywhere from about, that one's I believe is the shortest at 25 seconds, all the way up to 80 seconds. So making use of that save anywhere later on will be of the utmost importance.
So Kirefel is currently in Blackroot Burrows, which is mainly close to an auto-scroller. It's all about catching certain cycles as early as possible. So you just have to keep to as optimal movement as possible. There's not that much you can do to go too much faster. But...
Oh no! Oh. Kirefel, unfortunately, is going to have to take a death right here. Oh, I hope Kirefel remembers to have to go back to the left. Oh no, never mind. Actually, I believe maybe drop the save on the way back. So that's a really nice time save. Otherwise, Kirefel would have had to jump back across those platforms to the left and regain the orb.
Grifs takes a quick death, but he's placed a good safety save, making good use of it.
Ooh, Kirefel just having a little problems and just barely missing the laser. But thankfully is going to do what you're seeing on Kirefel screen right now is a save and reload. That's going to reset the platform cycles so that Kirefel can catch this platform on the way up, especially since they don't know where the platforms were going to be because of the botched movement. So this is definitely a good backup.
Looks like Grifs' cycle is at the bottom, so unfortunately losing a little bit of time there.
So we're coming up to the end of the first trip into Blackroot Burrows right here with this last little auto scroller. But we got one last little save anywhere trick right here at the end. Essentially what the runners are going to do is place a save. Oh God, Kirefel falling down. Very unfortunate. Is going to have to do it. So now we're pretty much tied. Actually, we are going to be tied. Like, their platforms are almost on the same exact cycle right now.
Yeah, Grifs just ever so slightly missed the early cycle for getting the platform, so it's back to a tie at the moment.
Oh, and then Kirefel falls off again. I'm wondering if maybe a little bit of the tournament nerves are getting to Kirefel right now. So what you're going to see on Grif's screen is going to drop a save right here, bring up a save anywhere, and they're going to listen to an audio cue from the statue pedestal moving upward. And then once that happens, they're going to save or rekindle, and then they're going to reload, and then the darkness cutscene will be done.
So Grifs will be picking up Dash, which is a new ability in Definitive Edition, which allows you to move very fast, as the name implies. It will also let you, if you go neutral after doing a dash and then jump, you can retain a lot of your speed in the air, which allows you to get through the slow zones or other areas where you couldn't normally dash in the air much, much quicker.
Yeah, and showcasing a little more by dash gliding over that slime, and is going to start his Frankie walk right now. Is going to take this Frankie over there, and because they have 2 energy, they're timing a level up with the refill of the energy of that level up to put 4 energy into this door over here so that they can sequence break and go into Moon Grotto much earlier than the game intends you to. And looks like we got a good one from Grifs as Kirefel is just about to start their Frankie walk right now.
Grifs is making his way through the Death Gauntlet, since you don't have any spare energy until you get that energy cell. Makes it very difficult makes it very easy to make a single mistake and then lose a huge amount of time to a death, but makes it through cleanly.
Yeah, and Grifs is now going to be trying to manipulate a cycle right here. It's going to get a wall jump. Gets, just a little bit of a off ramp right there. You ramp off that crystal to try and make that cycle right there, but unfortunately it was just a bit late. I believe Kirefel is also going to go for this as well, so we'll get to see that on his screen pretty shortly here. As we see Grifs doing another ghost door right here, taking some intentional damage in that crusher cycle. And is going to come over here to our next skill, which is the double jump tree. And that's going to open up our movement a lot more. As we do a little quick save and load right there while leveling up an ability. And blind movement hype. I don't know about you, Mansane, but the first time I was learning that blind movement, it was super spooky.
Oh, I've messed up that blind movement many a time. So it's always good to see when people can do it successfully and cleanly.
Oh, and a little mini death from Kirefel right there. Not too bad though, because placing a save at the ghost door location right there. And Grifs is coming up to grotto skip right now and gets it first try with getting a nice little finicky jump on a little wall, a little mini wall right there. That's really hard to see. And that skips the whole left-hand side of getting out of this part of Moon Grotto.
Kirefel with some very clean blind movement, making it most of the way up to the next area.
All right, we're getting a quick cutscene skip right here because now we don't have to do save anywheres as often anymore. We can use rekindle ability to save glitch as you walk into a cutscene, and that one is very important at the very bottom of that section. Oh, and Grifs getting a wall jump with the iframes off of those spikes is gonna play it safe and just not worry about trying to damage boost. Yeah, because he was a 1. Oh, and then the slime drops down and takes his life.
Kirefel is just heading up to pick up the water vein after grabbing some extra XP.
Yeah, so can you explain a little bit of why that sequence break into Grotto with the energy door was such a big deal earlier?
Well, normally you'd have to go around the complete opposite direction and have to get an extra ability, Charge Flame, which we will be getting later as this is the all skills category. But you would have to go around the entire other way, but going through that energy door means you can skip out almost an entire area, which we can then go back to later when we have much faster abilities like dash and bash to let us get through it extremely quickly.
Yeah, and Grifs, because a little bit of unoptimal movement is deciding to push the rock in. You may have seen other people pull it out and then do a dash with Ori's mini hitbox. Oh, and Grifs got to be careful. Dodges that last little spike. I believe is on 2 HP now. As about to head into Ginso currently. And, Kirefel is not that far behind. Both of our runners have made their own mistakes, and there is not much of a difference right now.
Grifs is now heading into the Ginso tree, which is all about going up to the top of the tree as high as you possibly can, and aiming to get the skill Bash, which is a very, very significant ability and one very unique to this game. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we can do with Bash?
Yeah, so Bash is definitely... Ori is the first game I've seen an ability quite like the way that Bash works. Essentially, you can use not only some of the interactable stuff in the environment like lanterns and brambles, but you can actually use projectiles and living enemies to push yourself off in a direction while forcing that enemy or projectile in the opposite direction. And that's going to be pretty important right away. Right after we get the Bash tree, there's going to be a redirect puzzle that is going to be requiring of Bash.
Kirefel takes a bit of a fall in the second room of Ginso. Oh, it almost takes another fall as well. This is going to help Grifs to take a bit more of a lead.
Yeah, and we see Grifs going up against the first mini-boss fight in... Oh, no! And takes the death right at the end! Got caught on the little ledge right there. So that's going to give Kirefel a little bit of time to catch back up. What I was going to say is that there's a little bit of RNG on here, but the runners can get a one-frame tell because the game runs at 60 FPS. And you can actually see where the spawn is of the mini boss.
So Kirefel is just going into the mini boss now. If he manages to do it cleanly, then he'll be able to catch up a large amount of time on Grifs.
Yeah, it looks so good so far. He's getting some really good spawns. Oh, just misses it by one hit right there, or one set of hits, but gets it that time. And does indeed make up a little bit of times on Grifs. Only 2 rooms apart right now. This race is still incredibly close. One major death by either runner can make it completely tied. So this is the redirect puzzle we're talking about. Unfortunately, Grifs missed a shot barely right there, but is going to do this thing called a double bash. Do you want to explain a little bit more about what double bashing is?
Double bashing is where you perform a bash, and on the last frame of a bash, one frame after, if you reactivate a bash, it can allow you to redirect yourself, but not the enemy. So you can choose to go in the same direction as whatever you're bashing, or you can choose any other direction, which allows us to a lot more accurately manipulate enemies and projectiles.
Oh, Kirefel having a little bit of problems with the redirect room right here. Just shot that, forced that shot a little bit too high, but gets the second one. As on Griff's side of the screen, you saw him take an intentional death back there. As you die in this little nook between the spikes and the log, you can actually keep your keys stored in the door, and they'll actually go directly back into your inventory. And you rekindle so that you can use them on later. And this is going to be very important for when we go to Sorrow Bash later, or Sorrow Pass later. Sorrow Bash, Sorrow Pass, same thing. It's close enough.
Kirefel is having a bit of a rough time in the key dupe area. He's died a couple of times, but has managed to do the first key dupe successfully, and Rikin does the same. So he's just got to go through this one more time, getting all 4 keys this time.
Yeah, and sometimes people, in their muscle memory, they forget that little key that you have to go straight vertical for. It's not the biggest deal in the world if you forget that on the second time through. There is an extra one behind a little secret area in Sorrow Pass later that you can get. It's just that one this one is quicker to get. And on Griff's screen, we are seeing him do the new thing you may not remember from last turning, because this has been found relatively recently. It's called Clean Waterless Swamp Entry. And essentially what happens is you can take that frog over there, and using its projectile, because its projectile is based on height, you can actually get it all the way over and break both of those platforms, and we can get into the back end of Thornfelt Swamp while the water is still technically poisoned.
Yeah, so we'll be seeing Kirefel going for this as well after some blind movement. So Grifs has now picked up Stomp, which, as you might expect, allows you to stomp down and go much, much quicker than you would normally do when you're falling. So you can use it anytime we're going downwards to go much faster. Kirefel is attempting the frog break now. Let's see if I can manage to get it first try.
All right, and using that same frog, Grifs is going to be getting it up into his air. Oh no, but it walks off. If you actually botch your double jump movement, that frog will get scared and run away from you right to his death.
Kirefel managed to get the frog break first try, so we'll be heading up to where Stomp is. While Grifs is heading towards the Kuro cutscene skip. Hopefully we won't see anything And indeed
does
leader.
get it. Yeah, does get it. So we're gonna have to see if Kirefel gets it first time. Oh no, and goes into the water. Oh my god, gets the spider shot. What a sick save from Grifs right there. All right, as we see Grifs now, after that close death, close amount to death right there. Oh, has to get another double bash. Gets it. Gets a 5th energy cell, and getting that 5th energy cell may seem like it's out of the way a little bit, but it is worth it because we get more ability to do fast movement later on because of that extra energy.
Kirefel's heading up to the Kuro cutscene area. Hopefully, again, we'll never see any cutscene.
Yeah, if Kirefel can get this, then Kirefel's going to catch up quite a bit. And gets it.
Going. Grifs is going to be performing a save anywhere in order to skip a rather lengthy cutscene at the spirit tree, where the spirit tree will point to everything in the forest and tell us what it is. But fortunately, we already know, so we can skip it.
Oh, and actually didn't get the dash glide right there, showing with his mouse movements on the screen, displaying how had to walk off the platform. Will lose a little bit of time. So this race is now incredibly close because Grifs was having a little bit of problem with the setup. So let's see if Kirefel can get this a little more cleanly.
It looked like Kirefel had left the Frankie at the top, so you can't use the Frankie to get up quickly. We'll have to charge through the wall. Which, although it might not look like it's as much of a time loss, the main issue there is the loss of the energy, which the runners will be hoping to use for additional charge dashes, which is an ability they'll be getting very soon.
Wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about what happened on Kirefel's screen right there. So actually does a really old school setup. I really enjoy this, where if you do mess up the save anywhere, you can drop it on like one of the last couple pixels before the teleporter, and while you're on the teleporter in the cutscene, you can actually still get access to the save point. And so really good job by Kirefel setting that up pretty quickly. As we see Grifs going for fast stompless on first try. The shot looked pretty good. Is going to take an intentional damage boost off those spikes. And gets it.
We should be seeing Kirefel approaching fast stompless as well, while Grifs is waiting for the feather cutscene.
Oh, and what a nice save by Kirefel right there. I think Sig talked about it in the last race, but if you actually bash on the frame after an enemy dies, you can still bash them. So was able to get that really well. Kirefel having a little bit of problems with setting up this. That shot looks pretty good. And does indeed get it. As Grifs unfortunately died on his first attempt of Sorrow Path.
So this is one of the more difficult tricks in the run, and also one of the biggest time saves in the run, where we manipulate a bird to go through some spikes, which will kill the bird instantly, and almost kills Ori instantly. And Grifs manages to get it, allowing us to get into Sorrow Pass much earlier.
Having that safety of getting that 5th health cell in the Spider Cove area, really paying off right there. Able to actually go down onto those spikes while pushing the bird upward, and can make it a little bit safer because you can take an intentional damage boost. Oh, and takes a bit of a death on the spikes here over on the way to charge jump. Takes another one. So these aren't super costly because of the safety save, but definitely costs a little bit of time.
Kirefel's having a little bit of trouble with Sorobash. He's using a slightly different method to the one that Grifs was using 2 birds instead of 1. But makes it through successfully.
Oh, unfortunately, kills the bird. So has to do a little bit of double jumping on this wall to get up to the section that is still within wind.
So we should be seeing Grifs doing a trick called Terror Break, where you use a save anywhere to save right up to a barrier, and then you charge jump headfirst into some spikes, and the game still thinks that you're charge jumping when you respawn, so it breaks the barrier, and you can go on through.
Yep, it was found a few months ago, and we're still finding new ways to name things after Terra, because we're definitely not done with that yet. So now Grifs is doing another save anywhere right here, up at getting the key to the final dungeon, the Sunstone, and is going to wait to pick up the Sunstone and then save anywhere afterward, and does it successfully. You could see it as quickly menuing that has it in inventory.
Kirefel taking a quick death while setting up the save anywhere, but fortunately you save at the tree, and another quick death, but rekindled the save this time, so barely waste any time at all.
Yeah, Grifs is now heading down to the climb tree. You already got that, Grifs. Getting a little close to spikes there, not too bad. Is good. Throw the Wilhelm frog off the edge. And nice little Easter egg thing right there. Was getting some extra energy though. That was the main point of that. Unfortunately, bashes back to that bird, but still having some pretty solid movement through this first part of Misty.
You see Kirefel skipping the Sunstone cutscene, which is a cutscene that we don't want to watch as it costs a lot of time, and it's also quite a sad cutscene.
Extremely sad. But to be fair, a lot of things are sad in this game.
That's true.
I mean, we can only have so many tears to cry, man. Other than that, we'll just dry up.
So Grifs will be heading into the second half of Misty, where you're getting a new ability, Climb, and not be using it for a while, as it's kind of just an upgraded version of Wall Jump. But when we get a combination of abilities, it can be extremely powerful.
Also, Mansane, did you know that the second half of Misty has a lot of spikes in it?
There's a lot of spikes and not much floor. So you'll be seeing some spectacular looking movement, using charge dashes, cancelling. Oh, Grifs takes a quick death, but it's not too. The tree isn't too far away. We'll be getting back there quickly. Kirefel is just entering Misty.
Kirefel has made up a little bit of time on Grifs right now. Just because Grifs had a little bit of spaghetti in the first half. But Grifs is still throwing off some good movement, taking some ample safety saves after every little major section, which is a great thing for anybody, new who's learning the game. This part specifically in Misty is a great place to take a lot of safety saves. And so now getting the final keystone, and is going to be going off to battle the mini boss in Misty, or as I like to call it, the gatekeeper.
Oh, Grifs takes another death, but again, a well-placed safety save will stop him from losing too much time, while Kirefel picks up Climb. Griff. If Kirefel can have some very clean movement, then we'll be able to catch up to Grifs into the last bit of the run.
Oh! Unfortunately, Rocket jumps directly into the spikes. That was like a lunch and dinner menu of spikes right there.
Grifs is having a little bit of trouble with the mini-boss. Doesn't quite get the quick kill. But still manages to beat the mini-boss without taking any costly deaths. And we'll just be briefly visiting the orb before leaving.
Yep, we are not. That orb is required to open up the to get the key for the second dungeon, but we don't go to that dungeon. It will remain forlorn forever in this category until Covert Muffin decides he just wants to route that in.
Grifs will be heading back to the first teleporter in the game to go back to Blackroot Burrows and pick up the last ability, which is Grenade. And although we don't actually use Grenade for its intended purpose, we certainly have another purpose. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, so now with this combination with climb and charge jump, we can do this ability called grenade jumping. And grenade jumping is going to allow us to get some really fast movement through the air. But more specifically, the major one that most runners will be doing is at the very end of the final escape. You will be getting onto this little like wood on the left-hand side of one of the trees, and you're gonna go up and hit the ceiling over the cutscene trigger for the first half of it, and it will allow you to skip 35 seconds of the final cutscene. So that's a massive skip. It was found originally by Hitachi and a while ago, and this is we already had one frame perfect trick in Dorp. We just wanted more frame perfect tricks, because why not?
Grifs gives Grenade Jump a couple of attempts, but can't quite manage it. It is a very difficult trick to pull off, but hopefully he'll manage to get it when it matters the most later on. While Kirefel is heading down to Grenade.
Yeah, Kirefel is still, making Griff sweat here right now. Not too far behind currently.
Though neither of these runners know how the other runner is doing, as neither one is watching the other one's stream. So Kirefel might be thinking that there might be ahead, and Grifs might be thinking he's behind. But I'm sure both will still be trying to do everything as normal, be as fast as possible.
Kirefel was getting a little bit trolled by the bird right there, so then, you know what? You're going to stop trolling me. I'm going to use you as a tool to get through this cutscene. Having none of it. So Kirefel's getting the last ability in Grenade right here, and we'll be off to Mount Horror as well, is about a half a split away right now from Grifs. And, ooh, takes a little mini death at those spikes right there. It's a really tight jump. And it's a lot harder than it looks.
So Grifs will be heading into the final dungeon, and keeping with the theme so far of not completing any dungeons, we will be skipping right to the end of this one using a trick called Door Warp. You want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, so Dorp is as you save and reload right here. If you if you exit the dungeon on the frame that the game loads back in, it will actually not know what to do with you, and it'll actually warp you directly to where the end of the dungeon is, which is down and left from us. But Grifs is having a little bit of issue with it. I believe is on try number 5, and does indeed get it on this time. And Kirefel is just getting back over to the Thornfeld Swamp teleporter, so can make up a tiny bit of time if gets it on the first couple tries. So let's see how Kirefel does here, as we see Grifs starting the final escape right now. And the bird gives us a nice little hello and is going to usher us to the end. It's another great example of some really awesome movement through here with some charge dashing, some stomp canceling, bashing between lanterns really quickly. It's got a really large variety just in the final escape.
Griff successfully makes it through the swim. Ended up not needing that 6th health. You can get it through. Can get through the swim with only 5. Sets up the grenade jump, and he gets it first try.
And does indeed get it. So Grifs just has to hold right here, but GG to Grifs is going to take this match. Oh, and Kirefel does just get door up right now. So is not going to finish that far behind if Kirefel can get a clean escape as well.
It was a 3rd try door up for Kirefel. Ended up being a very close race. Just the difference of 1 final escape between the 2.
So we did get confirmation that was a 3rd try door up from Kirefel right there. Let's see if Kirefel can also get a 1st try grenade jump just like Grifs did. A little bit of problems getting to that other lantern, but saves it by feathering.
And Grifs is finished with a 38-21, which is a very respectable time.
Yes, very much so. Especially with some of the really hard deaths he had early. Oh, and Kirefel dies to the rocks underneath the water. Kirefel making their way back through for the 2nd time. He's going to try and make it through the swimming section this time around. And there's a little bit of a trigger for, Kuro, the big bird who's trying to kill us right now. You can try and charge jump over it, and does indeed get it. It was a little close, but barely got over it right there. And setting up for the final grenade jump, and misses the 1st attempt.
And gets on the 2nd attempt.
Yes.
So Kirefel will just have to hold right until finished.
Yeah, definitely. GG Kirefel. This is going to be about 2 minutes apart for them. And the final time for Kirefel is going to be a 40-24. GG to Kirefel.
Excellent job by both runners. A great race.
So man, that was quite the barn burner of match. That was actually close from, like Ginso through the rest of it.
Yeah, they both of them caught up and overtook each other quite a few times, but Grifs pulled ahead in the end.
Yeah, I think Grifs ended up having a little bit of a cleaner late game, and then Kirefel also dying near the end of the escape doesn't help out with that. But looks like we are joined by Grifs. GG, Mr. Griffington. How's it going?
Hello, thank you. A little bit shaky, but yeah, everything otherwise good, I guess.
Also joined by Kirefel. GG.
GG on the race.
Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations on winning.
Thank you. Yeah.
So wanted to ask you, how are you feeling? You had a couple early death scripts. How are you feeling after you got kind of into the mid game? Were you still feeling like you were behind since we know you weren't watching the restream?
Like yeah, past dash, it was past dash. I kind of got like better feeling that I might be ahead, but not really sure about that. Well, jump. I was supposed to jump, not shoot him. So that thing spiraled out of control later in BRB and later in Sorrow too. Like few unfortunate C dashes that wasted time. But otherwise, yeah.
A lot of the
no.
race was very close between two of you, and you overtook each other quite a lot. Just ended up with having a cleaner ending for Grifs.
I really.
That will be interesting to watch again.
Definitely deserves a watch back. Definitely a lot of seesawing going on there. And Kirefel, I wanted to ask you, knowing that like Griff's had, quite a bit of a lead on you as far as PB. What was your mentality going through there? Were you wanting to play a little more consistent, or were you wanting to go for a little more riskier things?
Well, I actually did tend to go a little bit more on the safe side. I knew that Griff's PB was a fair bit better than mine, so like the advantage was there, but I didn't want to like just give it to him or anything by screwing up all of the really hard things.
So are there any other runners in the bracket that you're really looking forward to facing, or really concerned about facing?
Ronnie, that will be one-sided win to me.
We'll see what happens there.
It will be interesting to racing against I said. Pretty sure. We'll see how it goes. It's like it's bad to say that, but like pretty much it's one-sided win, Ronnie against me. So yeah, it'll be fun. I will maybe try to do some fun stuff against the Ronnie race.
Well, it's 20 seconds,
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I mean, after what we've seen with the what's 20 seconds route, I'm on board with people doing that route. I don't know if I'll do it personally, but I really enjoy watching it. But, any other thoughts from that race in general, though? How you did during the rest of it? It seemed like when we got to the late game, you guys were a little bit cleaner, I would say, despite maybe a couple minor deaths, like quick deaths.
Yeah, like the shaky part of early game that was a bit like hard because races and tourney stuff. So yeah, it's a bit hard to get used to that. After a while, yeah, it gets easier. Yeah, race was spaghetti. Nothing else to say.
Yeah, I sort of felt it too. I mean, after that BRB, I really felt like I needed to do better anyway.
Okay. Thank you very much to both runners. So in an hour, we'll be having a race between Oshi and Sully on the main Speed Gaming channel. So be sure to turn up to that. And thank you very much.
Yeah, have yourself a great rest of the evening or morning or wherever you're at, and tune in for that Speed Gaming channel one. Have a good one, guys.
of Ginzo. Oh man, he's going for the telehops. Going through teleports also refreshes double jump. And he gets up there.
Wow.
Even do that. Yeah, here we go. Grim in the left-hand side. If you see nothing, he's gonna do it. Oh, there's Kuro though. He accidentally just barely missed a, but instead we can just bash a spider shot, which also breaks it. Then moving fast enough away from that shot, it's gonna despawn part of the level, and he's gonna get the ability cell just in time before getting teleported right next to the line skill. And then, all right, here we go. All right. Oh, that's a little low. Oh my god, the double bash on controller from Grim. What a play!
I'm not good with explaining Kidu.
Okay, so it's magic, right? Oh, actually,
It's
he shots have an invisible ceiling on them, which makes them impossible to bash. Looks like he got through there very nicely at that time, so good job from Dudu.
spider shot hit the top there.
That was a fairly Final Destination-like death there. You know, it's like the water should
Oh, and Jay getting multiple double bashes in a row.
Oh, looks like the shot missed. That was an attempt at fast stomp. Listen,
Oh, and he kills the spider and
brutal.
takes the death.
True to form, Jay opting for some double.
So I want to thank Grifs for providing his soul to me. You know, having a little bit of problems with the that log that's named after me. Ooh, and then Grifs takes a death off of anywhere trick right here at the end. Essentially, what the runners are going to do is place a save. Oh god, Kirefel falling down. Very unfortunate. It's going to have to do it. Going to play it safe and just not worry about trying to damage boost. Yeah, because he was a 1. Oh, and then the slime drops down and takes his life.
Let's see. Skip. Hopefully, we won't see anything. And indeed,
Does get it. Yeah, does get it.